Oh, okay, where do I even start with this beyond fuck this year and fucked everyone responsible for creating this year? Because damn, is it not a culmination of a lot of politicking stuff that people honestly do not normally care about. It's like, I hate talking politics like everybody else on their channels unless they're generally awful people, but it's undeniable this year where a lot of our awfulness came from if you're aware of what other countries were doing in the goddamn pandemic. So, not a lot got done for me and the show this year. Again, as I spend my day job, technically night job because I work night shift, at Amazon. Well, I probably don't need to tell a lot of you who were stuck inside most of the year what actually was going on with me. I'm one of the few people who still had a frickin' job throughout the entire quarantine and beyond that. I have worked over 400 overtime hours this year. It was going to be 500, but my roommate John broke my foot. Yeah, this is going to be a bunch of things that have piled up over the year, just as a final venting. And for those who do not follow my Twitter account, that is a combination of me venting stuff, me posting silly meme stuff, me gushing about cool things. Yeah, all that stuff goes on Twitter because I legitimately can't find the time to make a lot of videos. Hell, Alexis and I were going to get back to trying streaming this year, only for that to get screwed over, and so many other things to get screwed over. We barely got through what we intended as our watch list for the year, and yet we've still ended up finding the time to sit down and watch stuff on a weekly basis with pretty frequent regularity. We've been keeping up with Red vs. Blue. We actually dropped Red vs. Blue for the first time ever because we found Red vs. Blue 0 to be so awful. We've been keeping up with Ruby. We've been keeping up with Cure Major, and I can't, for those who know that I've basically been hostile to modern Sentai since the show's past Kyoryuger started up. Yeah, Cure Major is the first Sentai I've genuinely enjoyed since Kyoryuger. Thank you, Narahisa Arakawa, on that. And no, for those asking, this does not mean I am returning to doing Toku stuff. I am very sick of how Toei treats content creators. They're still doing it. They're still killing channels. They're still striking people for... I know a guy who did a double review completely as still frames. I'm Shadow Bird. I'm forgetting the guy's name off the top of my head, but yeah, he did a completely just screen caps for 7 seconds under the YouTube limit. He still got his videos cleaned. So for those also asking for me to restore all the videos, yeah, I don't have the time, and they're gonna get claimed anyways. So I'm sorry, I can't. I literally can't. I've been trying. I tried the only a screen cap version previously. If you saw some of the repost versions, that's what they were. It didn't work. Please stop asking. I have answered this before. And I'm not trying to be hostile at whoever's asking. I like that you care about it, but this is why I've told you guys this is why before. I would like to not get those emails, especially since I basically have abandoned my public email inbox since the death threats about ZO stopped. Ugh. So yeah, I broke my foot. That prevented me from working properly for 2 months. It happened beginning of October, after I got back from something else that was rather life-changing. End of September, my mom died. It was sudden, it was not medical, it was not from COVID. She was actually being super smart about that, and she was actually the woman in the county, because she lived out in a cabin in a rural area that is literally 6 hours of a drive through rural country for me, and like deep north Wisconsin from where I am in southern Wisconsin, borderline Chicago. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna say it. I live in Kenosha. I was here throughout the entire Riots, for people who still think that, well, I don't know why you'd be watching my channel if that's the case, but if you think there was a lot of violence going on from townspeople and think it's a horrible place to live, yeah, no, if you've, I'm forgetting if you've followed the Kyle Rittenhouse case, yeah, everybody that was causing violence and rioting, they were coming from out of town. They were coming from across the Chicago border. They were coming from neighboring cities and all that. In fact, this is so how bad the coverage of that was. We have a serial arsonist in Kenosha. He comes out for these kinds of things, and the police have yet to catch him. That was who set downtown on fire in those things, and of course, that did not get any coverage during all that. So I am going to say that protest violence, it was retaliatory from someone else starting it and trying to frame them. So, of course, that is where it always spitballs into, hey, they need to get the justifications for violent protests. No. Someone else has been starting it, and the police have then been going after the protesters for it, instead of the people who are actually inciting the riots. But I digress. I am very far away from my mom, and when they found her body, it had been 2 days after she had died. Assuming that the information we have is accurate from crime scene investigation, stuff like that, the people they send out to look into that, it looks like she either tripped as she was getting into bed or fell out of bed, hit her head, lost consciousness immediately, and bled out. Obviously, this has been 3 months since that happened, so I am a lot more composed than I was when I originally had all that happen, but I got the call at midnight at work, and immediately, the last day of work for me, and immediately put in for leave, and then had to deal with her estate. I am still dealing with her estate, because she was not in good shape financially, nor with all of her documentation of everything. So, sidebar for anyone who has parents that are getting up there, or might have health issues, especially with the pandemic still technically active, even though there is a vaccine available, or becoming available for it. Just planning for the future. Make sure your will is updated, and make sure you have that any important passwords include whatever the swipe code is for your phone. Because obviously we have the screen locking stuff for phones these days, the tabs and buttons and the numbers. Make sure any important passwords you have include that code, because we were not able to get into my mother's phone, and there are a lot of people that were her friends and some extended family from my stepfather's side that we had no contact information for that needed to be notified of it. The most recent event for us of informing someone that she died who was really close to her but we had no contact information for was my mom's friend Bruce. I use this as an example because the guy is really nice but lives out in California. He actually works in the prop department for Conan O'Brien as one of his prop masters. Not like he's had much to do this year because of the pandemic shutting down most of the Hollywood and TV production stuff. But yeah, he could have, if we weren't into pandemic relations, if he'd been notified, he would not have had scheduling conflicts to come to the funeral and all that mess. And like, just planning for the future. Those people, those friends of your family will need to be notified. Your friends will have to be notified by your significant others. And you will likely have that in a list or in an account that is accessible through your phone, especially since two-factor authentication, where you need your phone to get access codes for your other accounts, is becoming so more and more commonplace to prevent identity theft and fraud from happening. And so you get these locked, you can't get into those accounts, you can't close them, or you can't get important information from them. So just planning for the future. You'll save you a bunch of time, especially with elderly relatives that won't remember these things offhand. Get them to provide the swipe code among any important passwords. It's the biggest thing I learned from this whole mess with my mom's estate, and it has been advice I've been sharing with literally everyone. My roommates picked it up. My bosses picked it up. I shared it on Twitter to several people I've interacted with, both in a professional and a casual capacity, and it will save you so many problems if you get that done for you guys. And so I hope you guys can just learn from my experience there. I wish things were as simple as they were when I was working 60 hours a week for 12 months. Like, that's one of my few achievements. I lasted the entire period of quarantine going in to work 6 days a week. I practically lived there with how much I was there, and taking advantage of their bonus and double time pay to basically clean house. If you're, obviously you can see this to the side, the sole thing that has been keeping me freaking sane is building Gundam model kits. I have 100 of these stacked over to my left that I've been putting off, not just because of how much I've been working, but because of how much I've been trying to actually get stuff done for the show in advance. I actually had a Patreon request to do a review of Tales of Symphonia, because I've been meeting and pushing back doing a Tales of game review, because I wanted to do Tales of Grace's F because of the Dot Hack tie-in DLC, and I'm still doing that. I've just been procrastinating on it because there is a Asian English patch that fixes many of the translation issues and adds back in the DLC that Bandai of America locked out of Region 1, which includes both Dot Hack and Code Geass costumes. And I wanted to do it as that. That is why that has not yet happened. The Symphogear is something else. The Symphonia review, however, had to be canceled as the requester had to de-Patreon me because they got into a car accident and had to fix their car. And you know what? Completely fair on them. If they want to ever make the request again, probably not for 2022, because 2022 is going to be very sparse on content due to how fucking stressful this year has been. But yeah, if they want to do that request again in the future, I have the footage saved. So what else is this year? Had a bunch of vehicle problems. I will likely be changing vehicles soon. My recording laptop died. So for people expecting me to get busy with some time I have off right now to get stuff recorded for next year, first of all, I have everything but 3 or 4 videos already voiceover recorded, but because of the recording laptop dying, like, it doesn't, or at least it no longer accepting USB input correctly. I should specify what the problem is. I can't get this to scan into it correctly. It crashes consistently after I have the application opening and recording at the 10-minute mark. Like, I can't get my longer recordings done, especially for live footage, when that is happening. Also, I apologize for anyone who's listening to this in retrospect and sees the audio get wonky from me doing that and louder. I really should not have picked it up. I should have changed where the camera is in hindsight. So yeah, recording is going to be screwed over until we move. While my mother's estate is not yet settled, because we can't sell the house until the floorboards are fixed in it, because, well, 2-day blood pool, it's soaked into all of that. So, yeah, and the people who did the repairs are backlogged into, like, April, so we're not going to be able to list that house until April. But I got enough from her death insurance to actually buy a house and move us out. So, yeah, a lot of recording that needs to be done for the live footage side of those is likely not going to happen until we move. So, my 10th anniversary year content is likely going to get delayed until March or April for it to begin. And the thing is that even with all the pandemic nonsense, even with me taking time to build and build and build. Like, I think I built like 60 model kits or so this year from what I've bought. I bought like between Premium Bandai US, which is one of the highlights of this year, and Bluefin and their various reps finally making available online exclusive or limited run kits available to us in America. So we didn't have to deal with the massive import costs, ironically, after I'd bought a bunch of Premium Bandai kits from Mandarake. So it's kind of funny like that. Yeah, I've been basically taking advantage of that service since it started earlier this year, and it's been glorious for getting rare stuff. Yeah, model kits have been my salvation, but even with that, I have gotten done, or at least prepped and written, over 40 videos for next year, which I'd plan to, go back a bit to what I used to be able to do and release stuff weekly from February through the end of December, and I'm not going to be able to do that now because, one, the recording problems that are preventing me from getting them done. 2, other stuff taking priority, like dealing with the estate. 3, the moving stuff. And 4, like, just not Occam's razor, but, everything going wrong. I'm forgetting what the Murphy's Law applying to circumstance after circumstance that has put me more and more behind on what I wanted to do. And like I said years ago, I can't let the video thing be my highest priority anymore, especially since I gotta adult a lot of things before I can let that take over. And hopefully, once we get moved, I will be able to get that crap done. But for 2022, there is going to be consequences because I'm not going to be able to start or heavily work on stuff for 2022 because, let's face it, I need the break. And this year has not given me a single goddamn week off from the bullshit or the bullshit cascading into other stuff. Like, I have had, not so much this stuff, but stuff I've ordered that has not arrived until like a month after its intended shipping date. Like, I've got a problem right now because it has never ended where your retailer was supposed to send me something by the dead latest the middle of December, and they have not shipped it yet. This is not a shipocalypse thing. Whoever coined that, it's still accurate. The shipocalypse is a package you ordered getting stuck in transit inexplicably thanks to the not president, Trump, having his yes man literally dismantle the postal sorting machines at major post offices to screw over mail flow in an attempt to screw over the election. It, of course, did not work for him, but has long-lasting consequences, which is, again, why people should pay attention to politics and the reality of what consequences lie for putting the wrong people in office, mostly Republicans, because Republicans are always out for themselves first and foremost. This is something recognized by my actual Republican relatives, my immediate family, as in my uncles and cousins, have had to reflect on this year. My uncle is a farmer. He has gotten no financial support from the government, despite our ancestral farm, which is over 100 acres, being heavily harmed by Trump's actions. They're literally on the verge of bankruptcy because of him, and they've had to reflect on putting him in office. Again, I'm sorry to get political, but this is relevant to current events, I should say. So much has gone wrong, I don't even know how to compose or list all of it. It's like the only good thing I ended up doing was what was going on with Alexis this year, and for those who don't follow me on Twitter, you're probably wondering who Alexis is. Well, you remember my dual streams with my online friends and how my streaming stuff ended up leading to me moving in with John and Matt. And Matt used to be my co-host for the dual streams. Alexis is Matt. Matthew Rhodes has now begun transitioning to Alexis Rhodes. Matt is trans, or rather, Alexis is trans, and honestly, I think that's the best thing I've done in the last few years. When I started working at Amazon, I happened to see in their medical benefits that they were really good for transgender individuals in that, with their coverage, so that it could help make easier the transition, and I knew Alexis was trans and felt that way, and I decided to offer to bring them out here, and 3 years later, they were finally in a good enough place so she could begin that process. And she did so end of July, and it's been interesting. But because we're 3 people jammed into a 2-bedroom apartment, it's also been a bit awkward. Again, a reason why we're going to need to prioritize getting out of here pretty soon. So yeah, that honestly feels like the best thing that's happened all year. With the absolute nonsense and cavalcade of things. I haven't even really gotten into my computer issues, because I was scared to record stuff for the next year, for 2022, or even edit stuff for 2021 right now, because my PC keeps failing. And the thing about my PC is it's a $5,000 machine that is no longer mechanically supported by Dell and Alienware. It's an Alienware Aurora R4, meaning it's still relatively powerful for the now, but the problem is the temperature sensors on my motherboard have failed for years, and it's actually only because of a third-party software program that I got the damn thing running now. But in late October and November and early December, it was blue screen crashing pretty frequently. I would have the computer on for sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes an hour, and the entire thing would freaking crash. I appear to have only fixed it within the last 2 weeks from doing that, because I swear I had to uninstall and skip over a Windows 10 update to get around it, and then install from scratch Google Chrome, my preferred browser, because apparently there were processing conflicts between them that have had... I don't even know how to describe it, but I actually lost a lot of prep work stuff, like pre-rendering audio, arranging clips in advance of proper editing. I had to do a crap ton of those over again, because when the system would fail while I had those bits of content open, it would completely erase everything and every tangential file. So I'd have to delete the entire work file and start over from scratch. It's like, so much was lost. So much was screwed over from doing that is going to make it more difficult to actually get stuff edited later. I can't name every single thing that's happened this year, because it's a continuous list. Like, oh, here are some more examples of health issues I've had beyond the broken foot. I smashed my finger. My left index finger, like right here, on a thing at work. I don't even remember exactly what got bashed, and then Amcare ignored me. This is going to be a recurring thing through this story. Because of the masks, for obvious safety reasons, I couldn't breathe at work. And I couldn't breathe because my entire left lung, due to pneumonia, is scar tissue. And I had pneumonia back in 2014, but the damage from that is still present. Like, I actually hit it pretty damn well through editing when that was happening. Actually, I think it's because I recorded I recorded 20 videos in advance back in the day when I actually had pneumonia, so I didn't have to do video content until long after I'd recovered that year. That was 2014, actually. Yeah, most of the early stuff that year I had done in advance. It was like wrapped up the December videos because I got pneumonia in December, and then everything through Lightning Returns in 2014 was done in just one massive block, and it was done for quite some time while I dealt with that game. I can't really do that anymore, unfortunately. I mean, yeah, I do the 1 year blocks now, but I meant, like, you know, prep all that in advance for a long video I want to do in that big year. I wish I had the time to dedicate to just super prep work like that instead of prepping everything, like everything I will do in a year I will do together like this and then move on to the next stuff. I wish I had a bit more time for vacation stuff, because it's going to be a consequence. The consequence from that is going to be either I keep working on stuff consistently to get stuff out consistently, or I have these massive content dead zones because I need the break, or something will screw over and take priority from doing anything else. But back to the injuries I suffered. Because of the mask policy, they were shoving me up on the 4th floor of the warehouse where the air is thinnest, and it is 40 degrees hotter than it is at the floor. So if they were maintaining on the ground floor, a temperature of 70 degrees in summer, then it was 110 on the 4th floor. And the big problem that made it unbearable is some idiot at Amazon thought that we just needed airflow in the walk paths to accommodate people and not fans at stations for who knows how long. So annual maintenance comes up in March. This is right as the pandemic stuff was beginning and we were going in quarantine, and they're going to do maintenance. They're going to fix up some old fans. A bunch of fans had actually failed in the last few months at work, and we were looking forward to getting them fixed, because even in the dead of winter, it can get pretty hot and sweaty in the building for those of us who are actively working on things, or heat from the machines keeps us getting warmer than we should be. And they only install fans that are pointed at such an angle that even the people walking through the walkways cannot feel the airflow. Over like 2-3 dozen people fainted and completely blacked out from heat stroke and other medical conditions. I was one of them. We were close to suing, and it was at that point then they realized, hey, this might be a problem that we need to fix that everyone fucking told you was going to be a problem months ago. So it's like, I got accommodations to not be on the 4th floor ever again, and they replaced all the fans. But the big issue that got people pissed is the fans are cheap, but they have spent the year installing little game stations at all the workstations for us, and everybody agrees on this. They're nothing but a massive distraction. And worse, they take up workspace that was previously provided. This has been a problem for a couple of years. That was previously provided and left open for overflow totes. It's like, I'm in the pig department. I'm the one of the people who takes stuff out of storage bins and puts them into a larger plastic tub, which are called the totes, and then sends them off to pack through a mechanical conveyance system. When the system would get backed up, we would have this small little area to put some totes up so they would not interfere us in our workspace, because it was a safety hazard for them to pile up in the rest of the work in the walk space of the station. They've instead reversed this safety policy, which has, one, resulted in a bunch of injuries because all goddamn year people have not been filling up these plastic bins, which are actually pretty deep. Like, I can get my entire forearm into one of these before it would hit the top. And that just tells you how big they are. But people would be putting in like 1-2 items and then sending them out and not really using much of the space at all. And then it would back up the entire conveyance system massively. And because of social distancing and all that, they would never get around to correcting this work quality problem until the person left of their own volition. People were not being fired for this, even though it's a big reason network-wide why a lot of shipments were being delayed. It was not the volume of items getting shipped out themselves. It was people causing so many delays because they didn't want to do their job correctly. But I digress. The accidents have been caused by them taking up all this space that used to be used for an actual functional purpose, and now we can't use any of it. And because these game stations were budgeted, and the pandemic quality supplies were budgeted for, wash stations and masks so people can stay healthy, a lot of us have no longer been able to stay healthy because the fans and other circulatory systems and even the water coolers in the building were not given priority on getting fixed and replaced. And that harmed us long term because the money that would have gone to tax-free bonuses and work prizes, that all got killed. Any prizes and bonuses we got this year were taxed. So, I was awarded $300 for staying and working every day in December, not count every day of the normal peak season. I'm actually off right now. And it was supposed to be $300. I got taxed 40% for it because it was a gift. I am normally taxed 20%. It's a lot less than it should be, and there is no explicable reason as to why it's being taxed that much. Even the people in the HR department that gave me the damn thing said as much. And this has not happened before, but it happened because Amazon, the company with the biggest earnings in the world for a company, can't understand how to use their own funds. If you wonder why they've not boosted the wages of their employees in the since they raised our wages to $15, that is why. They are that bad at money management. So yeah, I have been suffering medical problems all year because of this nonsense. And I on top of the example of one of the injuries I got from fainting at work, I cracked a rib too. And I cracked my glasses because of the blackouts. It's I have a scar here right now. I'm not sure if it's showing up on the camera because I'm on my webcam, but I fainted, broke my glasses, and the broken bit of my glasses just jammed into my face. And no one came to check on me because I was on the 4th goddamn floor. And, of course, I wasn't working for my normal managers. My normal managers would have come and helped me. I was working for some other jackass in another team that should have fucking known better because I told them not to send me to a station without a fan. They sent me to a station without a fan. It's the mask problem all over again with this, because if I was not dealing with the masks, I could actually fucking breathe. And I'm not an anti-masker. I have lung damage, so I have been religious about those since that policy got started. But the problem with the masks is I am one of those people who has such a medical condition that I literally can't breathe with a standard one on me. I'm one of the people that shouldn't be wearing them. Legitimately. I'm saying everyone should be wearing them, but me wearing them makes it so I literally can't breathe. Again, I'm obeying that. I have, in fact, they got rid of alternatives to full masks. Where is it? I was using bandana as my I was using bandanas as my go-to for this because they're actually sheer enough. So, well, they make it. Example right there. They make it so that it's more difficult to breathe, but I can still breathe. I just don't have the ability to take in air as well with the lung damage with any type of obstruction that a healthy person or ones without any lung damage would not have. People who do not have any type of lung damage, this does not obstruct your breathing. The N95 masks, aside from the cotton spores getting into your lungs after you suck them in, those do not have that problems. The normal cloth masks, the 2-layer ones, they do not give a healthy person problems. Someone like me, this is difficult to breathe in. Just this sheer stuff. And I've been one of the people that have been at work the most throughout all of this. And I've been living with that for months, and I'm sick of it. And we're probably going to be dealing with that for another 6 months. And I'm tired of having medical issues that are related to how badly I am breathing with these things on. And again, healthy person would not have my problem. I only have this problem because of lung damage, and I keep to this religiously because if I get the damn virus, I am by default dead because I legitimately will not be able to breathe if I get infected. It's like it's instant hospitalization, and even with what I got from my mom, I cannot afford hospitalization in our goddamn country. So yeah, there's my pandemic rant for that. But yeah, I've had a lot of medical issues from this. The last one that comes to mind is I have been anemic. I have cut myself a few times. I have barely bled at all, and yet I have completely lost consciousness. It was the worst one was when I was doing prep for a different project that I wanted to work on this year, which I never got to again because of everything that's happened. And it's like, it was a minor, I nicked myself like right here. It was like a minor cut. It actually didn't even scar. It was such a minor one as opposed to the one I had on my index finger from building a prop for a skit in 2014. Yeah, it was a minor cut. Barely bled, was rather painful, but just the little amount of blood I lost was enough to knock me out and make it so I couldn't breathe. I was like, labored, sounding like that for the rest of the night. I had to miss work for that night too, medically, while I got that whole sorted. And that's another thing that's been happening all year. I've been having weird, blood pressure issues. Like, I've not been low blood pressure, I've not been high blood pressure, I've just had low oxygen transfer, partly because of the masks, partly because of all these other conditions. Like, when California got set on fire, again, and all their trees were burning, and it was such a enormous fire that we were getting dust and ash from those fires all the way here in Wisconsin. The air quality dropped enough that it was like the Arizona solution out there. I couldn't breathe either because of how bad the air quality is. And I've actually had comments sent to me about, well, this is in conflict with your whole rant about environmentalism been improving from, my dot hack the world review on that. It's like, but thing is though, like 2014, 2015, when I made that video, actually, yeah, 2015 was when I made that video, things were improving. This is the difference 5 years make after we've been kicked off that schedule. People like me can't breathe, and the people who say should be fixing those issues are not fixing those issues. So, because things were getting into a better place in 2015, where stupid environmental terrorist organizations are completely redundant. I actually have to finish a video on that. Not for this year, but writing it for 2022 on that matter. Because I got the Dot Hack archive books. That's another thing I found this year. And I have the full the full story of the Mama conspiracy. That is not going to be a fun video, but it is going to be coming. Phrasing. What else? Another highlight for this year. Because I worked so much, and this is before, obviously, I got the death insurance stuff from my mom's, death, which I actually split with my aunts, and we're just waiting for all of my mom's tax stuff and other debts information to be sorted before we can fully deal with that. Before I get back to downer stuff again, another highlight. Right Stuff's anime sales. I got like 4 dozen series on cheap, and it's like, once we move, I am going to be completely rebuilding my set from the ground up. I've been able to find so much stuff on the cheap that, thanks to all the overtime I did, I could actually afford. I have actually not touched any of the earnings that I got from just that 3 months of overtime with anything I've purchased all year. That just went straight into savings, and I've not needed to worry about money as much this year because of that preemptive work. I'm tempted. There's been word that Amazon's going to do that again this year, and since they finally fixed almost all of their safety and medical quality issues this year, in fact, like, in 2019, the issue was people were screaming so loudly in the building, it was causing me pain and to have seizures, and they finally shut those people up this year. Once they got the fans fixed, we didn't have any major health issues in the building. So 2021, they're considering doing that 3-month span of bonus time for like long sales of bulk stuff to people right out of the last bit of the pandemic. I'm tempted to do that again because it was so refreshing and not like it was still stressful, but it was like it was not working peak season hours. Hell, even peak season was relatively easy this year as there was such lax demand for items. It was not a problem to go in there for 55 hours a week. Aside from the length of the 11-hour days, but no, we didn't have any problems with that in December. No, it was actually if you ordered from Amazon, you were basically the only people who got what they had actually ordered this year because of USPS and FedEx and UPS all being in such terrible conditions. Case in point, the item I pre-ordered in June that I still haven't gotten yet. Neither here nor there. Yeah, flipping back to the bad stuff that has just made this year a nightmare. And this relates to stuff that was going on with my mom that we only found out in the retrospect of her death was she apparently got scammed by some of those people that reach out to, elderly ladies who are living on retirement benefits and then screw them out of $60,000. Yeah, that happened to my mom. It was apparent her finances were apparently so bad that her credit cards had all been canceled, not by her, but by her credit agencies. And literally the week we were there dealing with her estate, her car got repossessed. This is confusing to me because she had a car that she'd had since forever that she'd paid off, and then yet suddenly she had another vehicle, apparently had it for a year or two, that I had never seen. In fact, it was apparently the second new car she'd gotten, and then she didn't pay off a single bit of it for 6 months because she couldn't afford it. The frustrating thing is, she sent them money. And this is what completely baffles me, because after my stepfather died, she paid off literally all debts and then sold a house in Chicago. So she had like $100,000 to spare, where she had no needs to worry about, and then she went to being $60,000 in debt. So she somehow gave this bastard, which we have not been able to track down, $160,000. How do you, how do you do that? How can I don't understand how people can do that and listen to that and think that's a good idea. I don't understand the concept of the confidence man. Like, okay, fair enough. I got screwed over by Raven out of $200 because he said he was going to employ us for a video review thing in like 2014. But by comparison, it's $200 fucking dollars, and he wasn't asking me for thousands for legal fees. I still got scammed, but that is the dark history of why that whole Rise of the Critics thing collapsed, because I basically was the one who ran it until the entire thing shut down. I still have regrets for that, but the thing is, that jackass is still around. And to be fair to myself on that, I was not the only one who got scammed on that. And I'm not referring to the Channel Awesome stuff. There were a lot of Channel Awesome-like groups in the mid-2010s that weren't just, review aggregate sites like when I was over on Manic Expression. No, that was just a place to post content where people would see it. No, I'm talking about the people who brought people in by thinking, hey, we'll get all these people together, we'll get some site ad revenue by getting popular talents together, and we'll distribute that ad revenue to people so they can finance their own projects and get us more content, thus ad revenue, and then never paid out that ad revenue. Yeah, there were people who got screwed over worse than me because I never signed a contract. I just was over there doing stuff. There were people who signed contracts that got screwed during the reviewer blitz that got screwed out of being able to access their content. People who were part of the League of Supercritics thing that Maker was doing. Actually, anyone related to Maker and Blip TV, unfortunately, or the Rever stuff that never saw the financial returns that they were promised. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was going on with that. So I got burned, but I was not the one who got the worst burned on that. Old news I'm bringing up for nostalgia purposes. So yeah, this here has been bad. It's not like there aren't some cool things that happened. That is a massive wall of model kits that I still have to go through. Rotate it around the back. This is going to actually be featured in the future, but sorry if the light there is obscuring it, but yeah, for those who know your Gunpla, Gundam model kits, Bandai model kits, that's the Neo Zeong. It is going to be featuring in a video next year, where I size compare it to literally the most distinctive sized kits to really give a true size comparison for it. For people, I don't actually have that many people who watch these big update videos, so spoilers, I am doing Super Robot Wars. It is an intro video and 11 videos past that long. It is, bar my .hack retrospective on .hack GU, it is the literal longest project I've ever done, and I'm so satisfied with how the final script turned out. It is over 100 pages on just this one subject. I think it's like 150, 170 in length. You're going to have, when it's all edited together, nearly 12 hours of content from me just recapping, critiquing this game, because I'm not just doing the events of this specific game, but I'm getting into almost all the series that are part of it and my thoughts on them and my critiques of them. If you like Universal Century Gundam, you are going to hate me, because I have many, many critiques of that side of the Gundam franchise. Like, I've mentioned this in a video before, back with the Battle Number 3 stuff. I am a complete sucker for the mecha design of Gundam Seed. John, Alexis, and I rewatched the Gundam Seed with the remaster version since that released this year. We actually liked it more than we did when it originally released in 2003. We went down a list of all the bashing complaints with Seed that people have spouted over the last decade of internet reviewer stuff, and we found most of the critiques wanting in comparison to what actually the show did right in zigging where the failings of the Universal Century series, the openly accepted critique stuff. I'm not saying bash Universal Century because there are good things in Universal Century as well. Like every Gundam series has its pros and cons of this, but Seed succeeds when it zagged where Seed succeeds in zigging where Universal Century's failings zagged, if that makes any sense to you all. It's just too bad that the remaster dub kinda sucks because they can't pronounce anyone's names correctly. Yeah, watch it with the original dub if you can. That's my only recommendation. But yeah, I've got some cool stuff in the pipeline. Patreon request for Wonderful 101. Patreon request for Lunar Legend Tsukihime. I am finally dripping my toes into the ocean that is Type Moon content, despite referencing it for half a decade in my videos. Alexis actually requested that of me. I got the script done earlier this last week, because I couldn't do it until she was out of the apartment, lest, you know, I'd be shaking her and not strangling, but, you know, why would you make me do this? Kind of stuff. I got good feedback on doing the Rockman.exe anime, so I have done the second half of the first series, and one of the things I will be doing in 2021 among my relaxed recovery is a slower typing of a scripts for all of Rockman Access in advance, because I really like Rockman Access and Stream, and I'm glad to finally be able to do those. I'm not planning much else beyond those because I want 2022 to be a lighter year, so I'm not so stressed to getting it done for, because I'm expecting things to go wrong in 2021, where I'm going to need the buffer points, where I get my weekends to relax, because I have not had it, aside from right now, where I am on vacation for a goddamn month. I have had that much vacation and off time pile up. Yes, seriously. I have not had a single day off from either work or some fire I have to put out here, or trying to get video content done in advance, as little time has had to put into it, and how big a delay I have had to get it, either getting it out or prepping it. Yes, if I was not doing the Rockman.exe videos, as short as they are, I would have not had content for most of this year with how little time I've been able to dedicate to it. So for people who are asking, where's the last couple videos of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Starter stuff, that's what happened to that. If you're asking me what happened to doing Garo Makai no Hana, people have been harassing me about that, so I have not inclined to finally providing that. You're basically never going to see it now, so stop messaging me about it. Trying to do more vlogs, like, same with streaming. The last time I actually enjoyed a game this year, because I got a lot of time got tied up in doing Symphogear this why do I keep saying Symphogear? Alexis had us watch Symphogear when the Discotheque Blu-ray of it came out. We actually really liked it, and we're going to be watching more of that when the next season set comes out, and we're going to be customizing some Gunpla for Alexis next year. We have a lot of Gunpla customization stuff we're going to do as a relaxation treatment beyond all the stress stuff that I'm going to help her build a couple customs based on that series. But yeah, I basically sunk a month into recording Symphonia, and that could have been used for something else, since that's not happening now. I've lost so much time this year between various things that just have higher priorities than pushing out the videos. And I'm actually going to be spending 2 weeks of this vacation once I'm done with the relaxation period I'm currently on and recording this in, to dedicate to getting videos ready in advance. So hopefully, once we get moved and once I can finally record the live segments, which was originally also something I was going to do this week, but due to my recording laptop failing, I can't do. Yeah, once we get moved, I will get the last stuff I have in the queue for next year all sorted. But before that, I am getting stuff I have that is ready to be edited done. And hopefully it will be April at the latest for that. If I have to delay it to May, I may be doubling up videos for the rest of the year, so at least you'll get it eventually. Or I'll have to do something like I did this year and span out what I can get done so it releases every other week, or in short weekly bursts where I do a couple weeks of releases and then a couple weeks off. I kind of thought that worked. I'd rather not go to that format. But I can't just burn through everything. So if anything gets delayed, that is what's happening. If you'd like live updates and me, like giving my thoughts on things kind of off the cuff, which includes several dozen rants about stuff I am no longer doing videos about, or don't generally tip my feet into the water of doing videos on. There's that. I sometimes just find all that stuff on Twitter. It sometimes is helpful. If you'd like to help in supporting me get out more content, please take a look at Patreon. It's like even $1 is helpful. I know I am financially in the black this year in a lot of things, but not a lot of creators have been as unlucky as me to lose family members that would actually pay out in that regard. In fact, we would be in pretty bad shape if we were to be stuck in this specific apartment for another full year due to how much rent has been raised because of all the people that had to be evicted because they could not pay theirs. Yeah, it's been happening here too. It's been happening everywhere. It's like, for anyone who can't support a creator on Patreon or don't feel like they're deserving of it through how little content they can put out for it. Yeah, this is why a lot of content creators actually had to call it quits this year, if they didn't lose their normal jobs. I know this year was the rise of the VTuber and things like Among Us, which those Let's Plays have been awesome. I recommend watching the ones from Team 4-Star because TFS Gaming has been knocking it out of the park with those. Those have actually been very helpful the last few years in getting some laughs out of us here. But I don't have the free time to stream. Alexis and I are, or rather, I should rephrase that. I have not had the time this year to stream stuff. Like, 3 games actually played. That was the tangent I was on with Symphonia before. The only 3 games I've actually played this year outside of Symphonia was Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, the Mega Man Zero Collection, and Kamen Rider Memory of Heroes. Now, I'm not doing Kamen Rider reviews anymore in regards of the show, but if someone were to Patreon me reviewing Memory of Heroes to actually give my thoughts on what 01 was, because 01 was actually good until the pandemic caused the last arc of the series to be screwed over and changed, in which is where it actually got bad. I would not mind giving me those thoughts in the form of a video game. I just can't do shit from Toei anymore. I'm not going to do shit from Toei anymore. So yeah, if somebody wants to Patreon me to do Memory of Heroes, I would be happy to do that for them. Yeah, those have been the only games I've really played this year. And there was a lot of cool stuff that got out, or I've had on my list forever that I didn't get a chance to play because I've been so freaking busy. Um, Alexis and John have both played more stuff. I've actually, since it got out, that was a big thing of what we've been doing. John got Yakuza Like a Dragon. And I was listening to those as I've been working on stuff, and that's a pretty fun game from everything I've been seeing. John's been going through the Yakuza series the last couple years, too. They played Kiwami 1 and 2, they played 0, they played 6, they played Judgment, which is a spin-off, and those have all been really good, and I'm glad Sega's been getting those out there because and very enjoyable from what I've been spectating over here. Alexis has been playing Cyber Sleuth. Alexis has been playing... What was that other one? Well, she and I have both been playing Super Robot Wars, duh. They've been enjoying Pokemon more. Just, so many things that I wish I had the time to feature, but Alexis and I are trying to work out a system for next year, since we're trying to take it easier, where we spend an hour or two a week just going through something that's been on my backlog of stockpiled games. Spyro, Gundam G Generation Crossrays, aka the one that focuses on all the non-Universal Century Gundam Timeline series. I might actually end up doing that. Since I haven't completed Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, I might do that. I have One Piece World Seeker. Was that the one that was the most recent one on the Pirate Island? Because I know it's not the One Piece Pirate Warriors, because I haven't gotten any of those in years. But yeah, there are a number of recent and pseudo-recent games which I could go back to doing streaming with. Hell, we've considered trying to get people together for an Among Us game. That could be fun if we ever got the time for it, but I swear, so many things are going to better click together when we get moved, and that is just going to be our priority for a while, and hopefully things will be closer to functional and normal when that happens. It's just so many adulting stuff happened where I can't focus on getting the videos out if I don't want to be screwed over. So I hope that explains why stuff has been somewhat anemic this year for you people, and why you're going to have to wait a couple months before you get a deluge of content from me again. So, again, stuff you'll be looking forward to next year. Super Robot Wars, with me reviewing all of these series that were in, or at least giving my thoughts on the series that were featured in this specific video game, Super Robot Wars V. More Rockman videos. You are getting Mega Man Battle Network 4. Yes, both versions, all of it. Expect a review of The Wonderful 101, which was Patreon requested. I have a few more supplementary .hack videos I can release. I have stuff on the origins of CyberConnect as a video game developer for people who enjoyed my coverage of .hack on the whole, which I'm still getting messages online that saying they did, and I appreciate people who still went back to watch those, even though I have mixed quality in regards to audio back then. I have actually been recording me building most of these model kits, so I'm going to be releasing pseudo video vlogs of me constructing them once I get a proper editing program that can speed up the footage, because the one I've been using since I started doing videos 10 years ago is super ancient, and I've not upgraded it because the interim versions have all been terrible, or at least more terrible than the one I currently use. And hopefully my computer will not crash when I'm going through all of that. But regardless, thank you for watching my show. Thank you for supporting me if you are a supporter on Patreon. Thank you if you will be supporting me in the future. And thank you for your patience. And I hope you guys have not had as terrible a year as I have, as we have all suffered through this goddamn year to some varying degrees and extents that our common empathy for what we suffered should be influencing our decisions in the future to hopefully make things better than they are. I know it's not going to happen because humans suck. We do. But it can't help but dream for that kind of thing. Okay, that's my hour and 5 minute rant. So I'm Shinta, and I will see you all next year.